Okay, guys, then let us start. And yeah, I just wanted to represent myself. My name is Alina. I'm community manager in AuditOne, and today here with me is KutKraft and Joel from the New Elites, the game that is rapidly gaining popularity in the IOTA community. And we are going to talk about the features of the game, about the security, the future plans, and I think one of the most interesting parts are coming. Let's go. Let's start with the project description and functionality. So, my question will be about the. Could you give us the overview of the new lead game project? Its unique features. We know the concept is laying between PFP collectible and GameFi, and that you focus first of all on community and bring some value with holding for holding the NFTs. But anyway, can you maybe tell a little bit from your side?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Elena. You covered a couple of good points right at the end there, where we're sort of community focused and trying to incentivize the holding experience. But again, reiterating what you said, it's an NFT slash GameFi project. I'm not sure if you've seen Zoolander, but there's a scene where Fabio the model would say actor slash model, like emphasizing the actor part. And that's kind of what I want to do a little bit here, is emphasize the NFT part over the GameFi part. And I'll come to that in a little bit, but I just think it's important to sort of put a little bit of focus on the art side of things as well, as that's kind of where NFT started, even if we're starting to sort of evolve into something that's more utility driven. We're seeing talks of NFTs being involved with real world asset tokenization, things like bonds and stocks as well. So the anime style that we're taking with the we're taking an anime art style with the profile pic with the PFP, and it's not going to be a cute Pokemon anime style. Instead I'm going for something that feels like Berserk. It's something a little more adult and brutal. And as for the GameFi side of the New Elites, the reason why we say it's GameFi is because each NFT receives a daily token allocation, where the tokens play a critical role in the incentive system that we've developed. You touched on that before. So it's not a game in the video game sense where you load something up and press some buttons. It's a game in the sense of game theory, where players need to make strategic decisions about how to use their tokens within the New Elites framework. So this is, as I was saying before, it's different to how NFTs have been done, where traditionally it's like mint an NFT and hope the price goes up. And then there's very little to do with the NFT after you mint it, other than to use it as a profile picture, or maybe you're going to flex it when you're with your NFT bros. But there's not too much else to do other than to appreciate the art, use it for a profile pic, and hope for a quick flip where you can make a little bit of profit when the floor price goes up. So the way we see it is that sort of with Web3 games, there are multi-million-dollar budgets, and there are much more advanced games than what we're going to put out there. But there really aren't any NFT collections that are doing what we're doing in terms of the incentive system we've developed. So, short token airdrops to NFTs are pretty common, but we've gone a step further to gamify holding in a unique way. And we're doing that both with the game system that we've built around the NFT and the token. And we've also done it with how much of the mint we're going to give back as rewards to our community. So that's what I'm talking about with incentivization. And that's probably the most impactful thing that is going to set us apart. It's going to be our rewards incentive, because we're going to give 30% of the mint funds back to the holders as rewards. And we're also going to pay those rewards out in the IOTA token, which is the token that will be used for the actual mint. So I think these are worthwhile points that set us apart from GameFi and NFT projects in maybe other ecosystems, because from what I've seen, they tend to use their own project token for rewards. And the other thing is, I haven't seen a single NFT project give 1/3 of its treasury back to its community, even further within a 5-month period. And that's what we're intending to do. So the incentive system and how we execute on that incentive system is, I guess, definitely a unique selling point for the new elites. Now, again, I just have to make a clear distinction between T&E and the new wave of Web3 games. It's because I want to set expectations. We are on the line between NFT art and GameFi. So we're not launching a real-time FPS or a turn-based strategy game. We're launching a gamified ecosystem. And what's going to drive that are the T&E holders with their tokens. So in other words, we're using straightforward token-based game mechanics to give holders a reason to engage and participate with the New Elites platform after they've minted their NFT. And again, we're sweetening that whole deal with so much of the mint going back as rewards. So I guess you can see it as like when people play a PvP game, they get this surge of adrenaline and serotonin, and they get this impactful experience. But us, it's more like a drawn out. It's like you get a hit of dopamine when you're at a restaurant, and maybe something goes good for you in the New Elites, and it's like, this is when your food comes out. So that's kind of like the analogy. I think it's more of a slow release, but with a bigger payoff because of the share of the mint that they get, which is again a differentiating standpoint. But having said that, my vision is to introduce mini games. Well, I'd like to introduce mini games into the mix. Maybe they could be played in real time, and that could be the serotonin release, that immediate outcome. But having something as cool as the She Universe, I'm not sure if you guys have seen that, but they've got amazing graphics, and the players can mash some buttons and they can use their NFTs to sort of get in-game boosters. That I think they're doing amazing work, but unfortunately, we're not going to have something like that in season 1 of the New Elites. But we'll definitely explore options on that front, and we'll see where we can take the New Elites. But look, if I'm being honest, one of the reasons why the New Elites isn't a pure Web3 game is because it's ridiculously hard to make a quality game. I mean, we've poured a lot of time into our contracts, the UI and the UX, and we don't even need to code physics or colliders using C# for that kind of stuff. So selfishly, it's my personal mission with T&E, and it's always been to get some attention for IOTA from outside of our bubble. Because again, selfishly, I want my bags to pump. Now, I'm not saying that T&E will be the catalyst that makes IOTA pump, but if you start getting a flood of tens to hundreds of high quality projects like what we're trying to do, all emerging from IOTA, then that could definitely be the catalyst for a pump in our ecosystem, and it's something that we all desperately long for. So for now, I just want to stay in my lane and I guess focus on making something quality with my skill set and my amazingly talented partners. Joel is one of the most talented devs I've met, as well as his teammates. I'd like to name them, but I'm not sure if I have their permission. But it's just such a great team to work with. But yeah, I don't know. I've spoken to Alina. I'm sorry, I get so excited sometimes. I've spoken too much. So just pull me up if you want. And maybe Joel, that's Joel's job.
Great. It's a great presentation, to be honest. When I made a video about the New Elites, and I really felt maybe some lack of such information, to be honest. But I wanted to go further, and I know that you have specific feature of the thrones in your game. And to be honest, I was thinking that you were inspired by the Game of the Thrones movie when you created it. But to be honest, I wanted to know a little bit more about the thrones, about the roles which are related to this feature, like ruler, patron, or something. How does they impact the gameplay?
Yeah,
That's
look, I love Game of Thrones. And recently, I'm not
yes.
sure if you've been watching it, but House of the Dragon is awesome too. I've been really into it.
Uh-huh.
But the idea for Thrones didn't come from there. I'll just start on the way that Thrones sort of impact a player's experience. Like if a player is the ruler of a throne from the team that wins the game, the player is going to get a 350% return on what he paid for the NFT. So that is his reward for winning as a ruler. And I feel like that, 3.5 times what you pay for the mint is an amazing grand prize. So another part of the throne is that it's required in order to generate points for players in the team. So these NFTs that we're putting out, this collection, they are divided into 5 teams. We'll call them teams. And only the winning team gets their share of that reward, which is, as I mentioned before, 30% of the mint. So again, thrones enhance the player's experience because if he manages to rule a throne from the team that wins, he gets a 350% reward, 350% of the mint cost. Now, more on the thrones, I think I just have to sort of emphasize that it's a critical part of the gameplay because a relationship to a throne is necessary before points can be generated for a team. So if you're a player, before you can help your team, you need to create a relationship with the throne. And that's where you mentioned before, ruler and patron. A patron is someone sort of like the 3 wise men, for example, when Jesus was born. They came to revere him and brought him a gift. So that's kind of how you can see it is, you've got the king and then you've got the king's supporters. So the patron is like the supporter role. They create a relationship to the throne and then they contribute their tokens to the throne to create points. So that's kind of what it is in a nutshell. I know just using words, it's a little bit tricky to grasp, but if you go to the New Elites Twitter page, I'm releasing 1 to 3 minute videos detailing each one of these game points. So the information is all there. If there are any listeners later on that get a little bit confused, don't worry. I've got you covered with a lot of content and material.
Yes, but that's really interesting, and I'm feeling that it's really unique. And I'm keen on games. I'm a big gamer, and I really would like to try this one because the New Elites is really something unique when you compare it to the other gaming experience, as you told in previously. Yes, but need to move further because I was a little bit late.
No worries.
So, yeah, just okay. Let's maybe jump a little bit to the security part. So we have audited the new leads in AuditOne, and we were really impressed with the scores your project has got. And this is 100 of 100 in security score, and this is 55% in code quality and documentation quality. And it seems like there is nothing to ask about, but I will. What maybe there were some critical findings for you from our recent audit that really influenced the development on the new elites. So yes, and maybe you can just mention some specific measures, if they exist, that you have implemented to address the issues highlighted in our audit. That's the question.
So the most significant finding that we had during the audit, or at least that the auditors had, which did definitely affect and made us change way in certain aspects, was because we're using random drops for if people buy their elites, and AuditOne, and we're using essentially the integrated randomness from the IOTA network itself. And AuditOne made a very nice find where they figured out that each block uses the same randomness essentially, which would allow users to simulate a transaction and therefore predict or simulate which elite would drop for them. And then in case they would get an elite which they wouldn't want, they could just not do the transaction. And in case that they would get a super high value elite, for example, they could actually execute it and then therefore kind of go around the whole random drop and make it predictable. And then to circumvent that, essentially, we had to do a little bit of a change where we, as the new elites, will essentially pull the card out of a hat for the user and then hand it to them, because then that way we would prevent other people from manipulating the elite distribution or essentially go around the system. That was very interesting, and I actually wasn't informed about this, or I didn't know how the full extent of the randomness within the IOTA blockchain worked, which was very, very significant. And I think that we definitely dodged a bullet there. If that wouldn't have been the case, and we would have released the game with predictable randomness, if you will, it could have been a major disaster. And I wonder how other projects that want to implement randomness, because randomness is always a hard thing to do in computing, sort of speaking, how they approach this. But I think that with the suggestion, and the suggestion did come from the auditors, to essentially split minting up into a two-step way where the user essentially gets a ticket or buys a allocation to get an elite, and then we actually draw out the elite so that they don't have control over or can't manipulate the randomness that is in there.
Yeah, I got it. What I want to say, guys, you are, first of all, creative people. This is what I see when I'm looking at your game mechanics and your overall idea. And, sometimes creative people need this help, this technical view on the things. So I'm very happy that we have helped you in enhancing your security. And I'm very thankful that you have transparently told us about your experience with AuditOne and with integration of some corrections from our team. Yes, but you know what? I wanted to ask you even in the beginning, but I think it's time to ask now that you are in IOTA ecosystem. And yes, my question was, why IOTA? This is what I skipped in the beginning. What could you say? Why you?
I ask myself every day, Alina, why IOTA?
Yes, question. Yeah, I know. That's right.
Look, as I mentioned, I mentioned it before, that my mission was to help the effort to get IOTA's brand out there by trying to produce something that's high quality. And thank God I've got the partners I do with the coders to help me do that. And I think we're on track to deliver something that is truly quality.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
And the reason why I want to do that is because I am heavily, heavily invested in IOTA, just the token itself, since 2018 with my personal funds, my retirement funds. I even took out a loan to buy it. That's how much I believe in IOTA. The market hasn't been kind to us, and I guess we're just having our awakening now. And it's my honor now, from being a community person who is holding his bags really tightly, to being a community person now who can in some way contribute towards the success by launching a project that might make some waves in the future. It's a work of passion. It's like a dream come true to even be in communication with the community on a daily basis now. So for me, it's like, I'm now working on my magnum opus, the greatest work of my life. But at the same time, I really want IOTA to succeed, and I want to somehow contribute towards that. So 2 reasons. 1, I'm very wrecked by IOTA and I want to make that money back. And 2, it's just like my community. I'm checking in every single day on the Discord. I'm chatting with my friends every day, and I can call them friends because I talk to them every day. I talk to them more than my siblings, so like that's where I'm at. It's just I can't disconnect from this community, and if I'm going to do a Web3 project, it's going to be in IOTA because I only want the best for the ecosystem. But yeah, that's me. Joel is paid to work on IOTA. So.
No, I started developing on IOTA back in Chrysalis days.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I came from the eKnip project is where we already started.
Joel.
And ever since then, I'm technically also personally invested into it, and I just share the vision of IOTA. I shared the vision of IOTA very much, and I just really enjoyed the technology, not just layer 2, which is what TNE is built on now, but also layer 1.
Okay, so you are really passionate about IOTA and about IOTA community, about IOTA functionality, let us say.
I want to build. Essentially, I want to build.
Yes, okay. That's a great answer. To be honest, you told you are not paid for it. Okay, we are with IOTA because of more or less same reasons.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go to some unpleasant things and the difficulties. It's about the regulatory landscape. It's hard when it comes to digital assets and NFTs and the things like that. And did you? Are there any regulatory considerations you have taken into account to ensure the long-term viability of the new elites? Let's ask like that. And maybe you have even sacrificed some game features because of the regulations. That's very interesting to hear.
Yeah, my biggest concern with the classification of our NFT was having it considered a security. So that was my main concern. So I did a lot of reading about what is officially classified as a security, and I looked at some case studies where NFT projects have been sued by the SEC. And interestingly enough, a lot of it comes down to how these projects communicated or what they communicated. And because of that, I learned from that, you'll never see me using certain words when I talk about TNE. There are certain words that the SEC look at that imply a promise of future benefit to whoever buys the NFT. So that is one thing that you've just got to be really careful about is, you can't make promises if you don't want to be scrutinized later down the track. So in all of our documentation, in all of the official communications on the official channels that we've got, we steer clear about, making promises or even talking about where the money goes or how we would use money or doing things like that. So it's really cautious territory if you don't want to get your project wrecked. But ultimately, securities are legally determined, and this is from the US. They've got international authority in the US to go after projects from all around the world. But in the US, they are legally determined by something that's called the Howey test. And at the legal level, this test is performed with a lot of subjectivity. So it's not an objective measure of a project, but a lot of the time it's an interpretation of what the project has said, or even just an interpretation on what they have done. But this Howey test has got 4 main tenets. 2 of those tenets are default for anything that can be bought or sold. I'm talking anything, a loaf of bread, right? It fits into these 2 tenets of the Howey test. But there are another 2 that are really critical. I could talk about it for a while, but I won't. But I just wanted to say that, it has definitely influenced my approach in terms of how I'm going to market and communicate anything the new elites related. And the other thing is, my company is an Australian company, so my company owns the new elites IP. I've got obviously a collaboration with the coders. I won't discuss the fine details of that, but the overall ownership of the project is from an Australian company. So we're not bound by the crazy shit that's happening in Europe with all the regulations that are going down, MICA and all that. And I just feel bad for what's going on there because it dampens the innovation. And, especially having people code in a backdoor into smart contracts and making that a legal requirement is just, it's crazy to me. So there are certain things like that, because I'm an Australian company, I don't really have to worry about too much. But if I were European, I'd be pissed off. I'd probably leave if I wanted to develop in Web3.
Yes, absolutely agree with you. And, I have asked you this question, first of all, because I'm as a marketing manager, I'm a creative person, and I always have 1,000 of ideas on how to integrate tokens into one or another project, and enhance a little bit the community engagement and bring new users. And very often I hear that some of those activities are impossible just due to the regulations, and I'm thinking it's crazy stuff, but anyway,
Yeah, totally.
we should follow that, but that's terrible. Just for me, it looks like a little bit terrible. Yeah. Okay. About your future plans and the game development, maybe you can share some insight with us. How do you plan to engage the community and maintain the interest of the users post-launch? Maybe you will share some insights with us, maybe some roadmap. I don't know, something.
Yeah, look, on the marketing side, we're going to take full advantage of the Tide platform, and that's just to sort of track community activity and to incentivize them to perform these actions. So I'm not really too interested in giving tokens or NFTs away to people who aren't genuinely interested in what we're doing. I'm talking, you do a free giveaway on Twitter, you get 1,000 EVM addresses in the comments. If they win, they'll just dump and disappear. I'm looking for sticky people. I'm a sticky person. I want other sticky people. And again, that's why I love our community, because we've held on to IOTA through so much pain. So, we're a good kind of sticky people. So in having said that, I believe in thanking people who support you. And it's the core community, the new elites community, who I want to focus our giveaway type of marketing efforts on. And I want to reinforce that energy to grow our community sort of organically and just very consciously, very focused on them. Now, reaching outside of the community leads me to like a really big selling point for TNE is if we sell season 1 out, then okay, I've got a success story now, and I can go to a crypto convention, set up a booth, or I can even just unabashedly talk to somebody from a different chain and say, yeah, look, this is my NFT project. It runs on IOTA. And if they call it a dinosaur chain, I just tell them to stick it and then tell them why it's great, and then I won't have to be shy about it if we've got a proven product that works. So I guess, within the community, it's really focusing on rewarding people who believe and support in what you're doing. And then for the broader ecosystem, it's to go and show your face at places, internationally even. Go and talk to online influencers. Like if I can show them a project that's got a working platform, some kick-ass art, a great community, and it's sold out, why wouldn't you want to have a quick chat on your podcast or something like that? So, we've got angles there to sort of try to market the new elites conditional on if it sells out. So I'm really going to be pushing hard for that. And look, once the game goes live, we're going to have sort of weekly weekend events where we will boost game function. So if the token starts to do well, then, we're going to give away double the amount of tokens every second weekend. And then, as part of the game mechanics, every second weekend, we can say, all right, now you can create twice the amount of points for your team during this weekend. So even if throughout the week it gets a little bit quiet, we're going to try to reinvigorate the weekends. But I tell you, like, if you've got the potential to win 700% of your mint, like, why wouldn't you try to go hard? We're giving so much of the mint back as a reward. I keep on bringing it back to that 30% because it's such a big incentive to try to win, to try to be engaged. And that's kind of the thought process behind why I set it up. It's like, how can I really encourage people to look at the NFT after they buy it? Like how can I encourage people to just get involved? Okay, well, let's give a large sum of money away if they win. And obviously not everyone can win, because then, the project would have no runway. But at the same time, if you make it meaningful enough to a small group of people, then you should get at least some sort of incentive structure going. But look, the evolution of the new elites, we're gearing up for season 1. And so far we've got 4 seasons planned. So each season introduces a new theme, like a new art theme. The theme for season 1 is Warrior Kings. So you'll see a lot of kind of battle swords and stuff like that. I won't reveal what season 2 is, but, we're going to go on that whole weapon kind of battle each other side of things. And, that will sort of influence the NFT traits and maybe even the game mechanics. And like I mentioned before, I'd love to do some mini games. So if I can work an angle to get some mini games going, then, that would also come. And look, I've talked to a couple of people in the community. One of them is here right now, Artbyte Addict. And, I just throw some ideas and just try to gauge what they think about it. And having honest feedback also helps guide you in the right direction, because then you can't just say you're doing things for the community without actually bloody talking to the community. So that's what we're going to try to do as well, is, what works, what doesn't, and then sort of morph the project into something that is really engaging and has got the legs to walk across not just IOTA, but welcome people from other ecosystems in. So, yeah.
Yes, understood. So this is all about understanding of the concept, what you are doing, or about engagement and about being involved and really sharing the idea what you are doing. But that's very wise. I agree with you concerning such platforms as Tide, as you mentioned. But anyway, it's very. I really like Tide. It's very. Essential in some activities, but of course the community should have some deeper understanding of what you are doing and feel they are belonging to this community, really. Yeah. Okay, a little bit about your collaboration with us, with AuditOne, your experience. So maybe you could share with us just your general opinion. Was it like positive experience for you to work with AuditOne, and was it easy for you to understand our recommendations? So this is more about our method of communication with the project. Was it easy to communicate, to understand, and implement what we have shared?
So for communication in general, I felt that AuditOne was very quick to respond to whenever I had a question of any sorts. And this is pre-audit, so just setup and speaking about how everything is going to be done. Then you guys provided excellent instructions for me to let me know about your process. You broke it down to a nice step-by-step, which was convenient. And the audit itself, the individual auditors, we had 3, I believe, or maybe 4. The guys answered very, very quickly. They organized themselves, flagging each other's duplicates, making sure to reference them, which made my job very easy to kind of go through, and I could check everything off. And the individual auditors would all essentially brainstorm, provide a very good solution. And sometimes, obviously, the intention behind a correction was maybe incorrect, or they didn't quite get what, or maybe they made a suggestion which I didn't want to be implemented because of certain reasons. And those guys would answer relatively quickly, and they're open to brainstorming ideas essentially in chat. The only feedback that I could maybe give would be to possibly, obviously, maybe not everybody wants to have it that way, but I personally find that text is a pretty high communication barrier in some aspects, and for exchanges, especially on more complex subjects, which wasn't necessarily the case in here, or we didn't have a scenario or many scenarios where we had this issue, but I personally like person-to-person communication. So some possibility to speak with the auditors personally. Obviously, some auditors might not want to have that. Maybe there's some middle ground way to grab some auditors which want to do that or don't want to do that, and the customers can choose if they want to. Maybe some customers don't want to speak. I personally just find words to be a lot easier and to discuss than text, because you can only put so many thoughts into some words, and you can, as I'm doing right now, you could ramble on and go into way more nuances and so on and so forth. It could speed things up in terms of communication, but in general, I was very happy.
Yes, thank you for this feedback. Such a spontaneous remark. I was talking with one of our auditors during the AMA session as well. He was the auditor of the month. And I have asked him, what do you think? Will AI exchange auditors in future, at all? And he said that this is a helpful instrument, but it will not do same job as people in the nearest future. And for now, I was just listening what you are saying about the communication, and now I'm thinking what would you answer to this question?
You could totally use AI as a medium in this case to enhance. So maybe in case auditors don't want to speak, they could just speak into a mic, and then the reviewer or the developer, in this case me, would get essentially the text in audio, but obviously AI generated. That could be a thing. But for as of right now, I don't feel that my developing job, for example, or I don't feel like AuditOne's auditing job will be fully taken off by AI. I don't see that as maybe in some part in the distant future, but as of right now, I see it for when I develop. AI is super useful for small, tedious, repetitive tasks. You can ask AI to build you a getter or a setter for some variable, but as soon as it gets into a little bit more complex things, I actually had this in the new elites. I'm pretty sure all of us use GPT essentially on a daily, at least I do, because it's convenient. But as soon as it comes to more complex calculations or logic structures, it starts to struggle very often. And if you don't pay attention, it'll butcher your code and the logic, and it's not the output that you really want to. So I don't feel too threatened as of right now. Let's speak in 5 years, maybe. Until then,
famous last words.
Yeah. In 5 years, GPT-10 comes out, and I'm just gonna eat my words real bad. But for as of right now, I don't think so, personally.
Yes, thank you for this answer. Currently we are also auditing AI projects, and sometimes it's a feeling that you are developing the enemy of yourself.
You're just putting fuel into the fire, and even though you don't want to.
Yes, definitely. Guys, thank you very much for this interview. That was really very, very interesting for me, regardless the fact I had this problem with the previous link and previous spaces. And I really would like to invite our followers to ask questions, but I should confess I really don't know how to allow actually to write or speak here. Just don't kill me,
because all of you guys are all on the T&E Discord. Jeff, sorry, but what do we think about that? There's a general chat which we could maybe use.
I just see the invite co-host and invite speakers.
Yeah, I don't mean on the X platform. I mean on Discord.
Okay.
We just or maybe I'm not sure if AuditOne has a, but I'm pretty sure we're all on the T&E Discord at least.
Guys, write a question in the T&E general chat if you want. I'll give you 30 seconds. Otherwise, we'll move on to not make this painful. Or maybe Joel could sing in the meantime to you, Alina, just to pass the time until we
Amazing Grace, or
okay.
How
Okay,
terrible do
just-
you want your eyes to bleed? You used to bleed.
So bad that my eyes bleed, man. I want to
Yeah.
hurt everywhere.
Yeah, I want to say that we are also having the talk channel and the support channel in our Discord. So it's you're also, guys, you're welcome to ask your questions if you have some questions to AuditOne. And what I would like to say that in the near future we will be having more AMA sessions, and not just with our partners, but concerning our features and our own development. So you will have even more opportunities to ask your questions, and I suppose that maybe Discord is even more comfortable to communicate with with community from this point of view. Okay, thank you very much, Joel and KutKraft. This was really amazing.
Thank you very much, Alina. I really appreciate your time, and I want to thank everyone who came. You know, we don't have a big group in here, but thank you guys for coming along and showing some support for the project. I won't forget you. Trust me. I remember every single one of you. So, yeah, thank you, and thank all the guys that showed up. And Joel, thank you too, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Oh, no worries. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, have a nice day and evening, guys, and bye-bye.
All right. See you guys. Bye now.
Bye, people.